Analilia Mejia pulled off an upset win in the Democratic primary. She's backed by more progressive Dems like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders. Now she is tasked with keeping the seat blue for the House with a near-even split in a critical midterm season ahead. Joining me now is the Democratic nominee for NJ11, Analilia Mejia. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Let's talk. First off, congratulations on the win. You know, and I say upset win because many people thought Tom Malinowski, the powerhouse Democrat who had been there before, was going to win. And so when you kind of saw what was happening the night of and then in the days after, and now you being the Democratic nominee, what were you thinking about just kind of where you see the party going?
Well, one, I wasn't surprised. We had worked very hard over the course of 10 weeks to connect with voters, to knock on doors. We, in fact, talked to thousands of people and were able to, on election night, deliver a victory for progressive values, for bold ideas, and trying to rebuild the Democratic Party in a moment which we feel in crisis. I think my primary election shows that when you connect with voters, when you talk about the issues that keep people up at night, people turn out. We had a higher turnout than was expected in an otherwise sleepy Thursday race in the middle of winter.
Yeah, in a special election. You expect low voter turnout for a special election. I want to talk about just kind of how you describe yourself. I spoke to now your Republican opponent, Joe Hathaway, and he often called you a Democratic socialist, a member of the DSA. Do you consider yourself a Democratic socialist?
Well, one, as I keep saying, I have teenage sons, and when they don't have a good argument to make, they devolve to name calling. I will point out that I have been a Democratic County Committee woman in my district for about 13 years. I've worked really hard to build the Democratic Party. I've worked for President Biden. I have supported and helped run the campaign of Senator Bernie Sanders. I'm the kind of Democrat who gets down in the trenches, talks to people, and now I'm running for Congress so that I could represent the interest of working families.
So not a Democratic socialist?
No, as I said, I belong to the Democratic Party.
So let me talk about immigration for a moment. It's a big issue, specifically in the district as well. And there's a lot of confusion over the Homeland Security just this week announcing the purchase of this warehouse in Roxbury to turn it into an immigration detention center. Then they said the announcement was actually made in error. What did you make of all of that? Before getting to immigration issues?
I mean, I think when you look at all of the issues that are emanating from ICE and DHS, it's sadly many, many errors. I think that what we are experiencing right now, what we're seeing across the country, is incredibly egregious. It, in fact, motivated people to turn out in my race, and I suspect it will be a motivating factor in these midterm elections.
Should ICE as a whole, because of what's happening around the country, should it be abolished?
I believe that ICE needs to be abolished. I believe that we cannot reform an agency that already, it's very clear, has a recruitment problem, has a training problem, has an accountability problem, and is breaking the law. The reality is that in the United States, we have due process and equal protection, and ICE agents, DHS agents are breaking that for both immigrants and citizens alike.
But right now it does exist, right? So how do you see, if you were to become a member of Congress, how do you see yourself protecting immigrant rights? Is there anything that you could do on the federal level to stop some of the deportations from happening?
So first and foremost, it's about actually protecting all of our rights, because I think when you look at what happened in Minnesota, it's not just immigrants who are under attack. I believe that we need to claw back the $75 billion that the Republican Party and that this administration stole from the American people, from safety net programs like Medicaid, SNAP, et cetera. I believe that we need to stop the incredible data collection and surveillance that is happening right now. Many agents are taking pictures of individuals protesting, taking their driver's licenses, images, and we have no idea what's happening with that information. Finally, I also believe that we need to address the issue of qualified immunity. The reality is that as long as agents believe that they have full immunity, they're going to act with impunity. And this is a problem not only for immigrants, but for everyone in the United States.
You mentioned the name calling, so I want to get to a couple of things that your opponent has kind of hurled your way and give you a chance to respond to them in the interest of fairness. One of them being that when it comes to law enforcement as a whole, which kind of goes with this ICE issue, that your only thought is to defund the police. Are you in favor of funding or defunding the police?
Actually, as I just stated, these are comprehensive problems that can't be flattened with name calling and ridiculousness. As I shared, when it comes to ICE, we need to protect our constitutional rights, we need to protect American citizens, and we need to create a pathway for us to integrate new Americans into our country. When it comes to public safety, I'm a mom. I'm raising 2 boys, and I'm very conscious of the fact that we want to live peacefully in our communities. We want to have equity and justice. We all deserve the kind of system that sees all of us as full human beings. That is what I advocate for. And I think it's silly to reduce very complex ideas into small snippets or name calling. But again, this is politics, and sometimes people devolve.
Yeah, I mean, that is the name of the game, right?
Yes. Well, that's the traditional name of the game, but I think Americans are really hungry for something different. They want the issues that keep them up at night to be addressed, to be taken seriously, and for everyone to have the freedom to live justly in this nation.
You know, you campaigned on a number of issues, but if you go to Capitol Hill, what is the #1 issue you see facing your district in particular on day one that you would want to tackle?
I mean, I think across the board, the biggest issue we face is the outsized power that big money has in our economy and in our democracy. What you see is the flooding, which you saw in this race, the flooding of special interest groups into elections so that they could confuse voters, so that they could detract on the real issues and even silence opposition. I believe that from the highest level of our government, sadly, this administration takes gifts from different countries, is essentially using the position to self-enrich, and this is harming the American people.
How does that affect the families who are having trouble putting money or food on the table?
It affects us tremendously, because when you think about the additional consolidation of power in government and how lobbyists are using their access to curtail guardrails that then lead to higher prices for individuals, that then lead to monopolies that create unfair advantages for corporations and disadvantaged families. That's why we have such rising prices in healthcare, in housing, in food, why we have such economic instability, not only for the working class, but for the middle class. We have to do something about it. And it starts by centering people, not lobbyists, not special interest groups.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. I know the special election is in April, so hopefully we talk to you along the way before that, okay?
Yes, I would love it.
Thank you so much for coming in person. Good to talk to you.